Hello and welcome back to Starcastic Remarks. Alongside James to my right, my name is Ryan Chambers. We are the official Dallas Stars podcast of THPN. Go and use that promo code THPN the next time you go and use DraftKings Sportsbook. We appreciate them for being our sponsor of this episode of our pod and all of THPN. James, how's it going?
It's going pretty good.
And might I say that was very impressive with the fact that you were like, it was under 10 seconds remaining down in the countdown on the live stream, and you were still not in your seat. You were still pooping.
Actually, no, I was standing right next to it.
Oh, really? Okay,
yeah, so I was standing before I knew that we were going to sit here for like an hour. So getting my standing minutes in.
Okay, so not as impressive as I thought it was.
No.
Oh, well, it is what it is. So, okay, well, for those of you that are actually watching on YouTube or you're watching live, I am in a different place. And this is also a little bit of a test. The internet is pretty far away from where I am. We just bought a house in the town where I teach. So this whole room is all Dallas Star stuff. So I am enjoying it. It's really cool. I have no idea if James, am I lagging like big time?
No, you're fine.
I am? Okay, cool.
Yeah, you're good.
So it's working okay. All right. And sorry, he's distracting me because he's eating salty crackers.
I remember the last time when you got mad at me for making so much noise, so I'm being very quiet with them.
James, shut up. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Well, anyways, if something happens and I randomly go offline, I'll promise I'll be back. Promise.
You promise? I'm just gonna stall or what? Should I say nothing?
No, you should just sit there and just stare.
Okay, I'll do that.
Straight at your camera and just go.
I will. I'll death stare at the camera until you come back.
Okay. So, considering this is the off season, there's quite a few things that have happened in the past couple of weeks, James. So, the past week, literally as soon as we logged off on Wednesday, there was a big thing. It was a sad thing that was announced for Dallas Stars. There was a trade. We'll talk about that. We'll also get into the Hall of Fame inductees that were announced today. That'll be interesting to talk about, including 2 former Dallas Stars, 1 coach and 1 player. We're also going to discuss a couple of other things, including the fact that the cap is only going to go up $1 million. I'm trying to get Uri to come on the show sometime soon so he can kind of educate us on the cap a little bit more. He is a capologist himself. He's all about that sort of stuff. So hopefully I'll get him on the show soon so we can talk about that. Then we're going to get into a lot of other Dallas Stars news, other things that have happened. And we'll get into like Kelly Forbes, and we'll also get into Sarah Siv of I think it's Bar Down, I think is the company she works for. She got roasted by Stars fans on Twitter. So I thought that was kind of funny. And then the main part of the episode today that I want to spend the most time on is the fact that there's not a lot of free agents out there. If you're the GM for the Dallas Stars, if you're Jim Nill, to increase your odds of getting a better team, right? So It seems like the best way to get better is through the trade route. Now, the thing that sucks about that is the fact that if you are, if you're trying to add something, you're also going to lose something. So we're going to get into that and the numerous amount of names that are involved in the trade rumors when it comes to the Dallas Stars. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we're the third to last team out and everybody wants to come to our team. So we'll talk about that when we get there. But first things first, James, this was a big piece of NHL news that we need to discuss, in the fact that OEL, Oliver Ekman-Larsson of the Vancouver Canucks, actually was bought out by his team. And the thing is, it is one of the biggest buyouts in NHL history. So he had 4 years remaining on his contract. And the way that buyouts work is that it affects your cap hit over the course of double that amount of time, however much longer is on their cap, the contract is. So instead of it being on the books for 4 years, now it's on the books for 8 years. Now, depending on how you look at it, I'm not a capologist, but basically, long story short, the Vancouver Canucks will save a lot of money this season and not so much the seasons after. So, James, what were your thoughts on the news when OEL got bought out? Surprised?
Not really. Their team's already bad. They're not going to get better with him on it. They take the penalty for 8 years, which is possibly what they would have been hurting with anyway. So, I mean, I don't mind the decision. They've been such a stagnant franchise. It feels like they keep trying with the same people over and over again, and it's obviously not working. And then they sign these awful contracts like this, and it's obvious that it's not going to work. And now it's getting bought out. Like, shocker.
Well, the thing that stinks for OEL is the fact that it sounded like when he talked to management not even like a month ago that they were not even considering buying him out at all. But obviously, I guess their plans changed. And I mean, they do save $7.1 million on the cap, I believe, if that's correct, this year. So they save $7 million where they can improve their team. And OEL has not been the same for many years. He's not the same number one defenseman that he was for the Arizona Coyotes when they were somewhat okay. So I think he's going to get another job in the NHL. He's not that bad, but he was definitely not worth the cap hit that he was not worth the money that he was receiving. Let's just say that. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely.
So, and now here's the question. This is a follow-up question with the whole Vancouver stuff. One of the things that Vancouver fans have been upset about is the fact that, oh, yeah, now we got cap space. Now we can use it. And then they go out and buy players that don't really help them that much. And that's just been a constant thing with this team. So do you have faith in the current administration for the Vancouver Canucks to actually get better? Do they get better, James?
No, they don't. They're probably going to be about the same place as they were. I mean, obviously, this like way too early prediction, but I don't see them changing. They've proven for 3 years straight that they don't know what they're doing, and they haven't changed anything. So I think they still don't know what they're doing.
I think they know what they're doing, but they are just refusing the fact that they're not a playoff team right now. They just don't have enough good players to be a good team.
Which tells me they don't know what they're doing.
Okay, fair enough. All right, next thing I want to talk about is the cap only going up $1 million. So there was some possibility that Gary Bettman was willing to talk to the new NHLPA representative, the head of the NHLPA, Marty Walsh, and kind of talk to him about maybe increasing the salary cap a little bit, but escrow would go up. Long story short, I'm not going to get into that. Long story short, all you need to know is the NHL players do not like escrow. They hate escrow. So there was no discussion about that. And the cap is only going to go up $1 million. Now, do you expect the cap to go up even further next year, James? Do you think it's going to go up like the 6-7 million that they're talking about that it is?
I'm skeptical because, I mean, we just had 4 years where, yes, COVID happened and that kind of screwed it all up. But I don't know. I don't think I'll believe it till it happens. I don't really have much information on all of it. I know there's like a math equation or whatever that goes with it, but I'm not going to even speculate on it. I'm not sure.
This is exactly why we need your eye on here.
Yeah.
He's our local capologist. So I'm hoping he responds to my messages soon and we can get him on here. But the cap going up, it's what's really great about Jim Nill, James, is the fact that he doesn't just go out there and just think about short term only, right? If that makes any sense. He has set up the stars very well when it comes to the cap situation. So like when one player is probably going to get like a big money deal, like Robertson in a couple of years, that's when such and such deal, goes by the wayside or whatever. I don't know the exact specifics, but like, let's just say that Robertson needs a new contract in 26, 27. I know that's not the case, but like, let's just pretend. Well, that also happens to be the case when Jamie Benn's contract ends up in 26, 27. Again, I don't actually know if that's true or not, but he's set it up to where that's exactly how he has it. So he's very responsible fiscally when it comes to money. So that is a good thing that the Dallas Stars have good going for them compared to other teams.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing about all of this cap stuff that we talked about is that we have Roope Hintz signed at $8.5 million for 7 more years, right? Like, he's gonna be with this team for a while, and that 8.5 is going to look better and better and better. It's like 7 or 8. I don't remember which one it was, but that extension kicks in this year, so should be nice.
Right. And what's funny is that these guys are doing so much better than Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin, and yet they're still not getting paid quite the amount.
No, both Seguin and Jamie Benn make at least $1 million more than Roope Hintz does.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even mentioning Jason Robertson, who makes $7.75 million.
That's ridiculous. He's got to be the best.
He's got to be the best. I mean, in terms of we just signed him to a deal, yeah, probably.
He's got to be. So yeah. So for example, this is just something to look at. This is kind of what I was talking about. So Wyatt Johnson is going to need a new contract in 25-26. Well, that just so happens to be the time that Jamie Benn, his contract is coming off the books, and he's probably not going to be making that same $9.5 million when he signs that next contract.
No, he's definitely not.
It's just little things like that I noticed that I'm just kind of like.
And then Marchment and Robertson line up, and Seguin will probably line up as well. You got Jake Ottinger lining up with the Benn contract as well.
Exactly. So it's just very well conceived and thought out, and it's not just, oh, he wants an extra year. Okay, throw on the extra year. We really want him like now. Okay, he doesn't give in to stuff like that, and that's what I do really appreciate about Jim Nill. So, okay. Anyways, moving on. We need to talk about the Hall of Fame inductees. So today, the Hockey Hall of Fame announced their group of 2023 people that will be going into the Hall of Fame. And I had it, and I lost it, and I can't find it now. Darn it.
Wow. Okay. Great job, Brian.
I know. I'm terrible.
So bad.
I even retweeted it.
What are you doing?
I don't know. I'll find it, I promise, sometime soon. Oh my gosh. I even had to say, okay, finally I have it. Okay, sorry. You almost got all the way through the first verse.
I almost.
Okay, all right. So the 2023 class is very goalie heavy this year, James. So first off, Henrik Lundqvist, big surprise there. Nobody saw that coming. Tom Barrasso, who started his career very young, and another really good goaltender back in the day. Mike Vernon, again, another good goaltender, played with Detroit Red Wings quite a bit. And then we've got Caroline Ouellette, who is I think she's a woman Canadian player. I'm sorry, I don't really know much about her. And then we have Pierre Lacroix. But then we've got 2 Dallas Stars peoples who are being inducted into the Hall of Fame. First off, Pierre Turgeon, who, we had him towards the end of his career, but still pretty cool. And then none other than Stanley Cup winning coach with the Dallas Stars, Ken Hitchcock. So Ken Hitchcock and Pierre Lacroix are going in as builders. Everybody else is going in as players. So still really cool that that Dallas Stars, especially recently, are starting to get more representation in the Hockey Hall of Fame. First it was Mike, then Brett Hull got in there as well. Hall might have been before Mike, actually. I don't know that for sure. But then the last couple of years, we've seen Sergei Zubov get in. We've seen Guy Carbonneau. And now we're seeing two more in Ken Hitchcock and Pierre Turgeon. So that's pretty cool, right, James?
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of that just has to do with the sport moving down south more and more, too. I mean, both Stanley Cup finalists were way down in the south this year. I mean, ice doesn't even happen here unless it's like a freak accident. So
yeah, a freak accident.
It is that truly. I mean, you maybe will get ice for 2 or 3 days out of the year, and it's never cold enough for any lake or pond. Even hardly puddles will freeze. So
hardly puddles will freeze.
Sometimes they do. Most of the time they do.
So here's what I wanted to ask you about. How invested are you in the players that did not make it?
Ryan, I don't follow hockey that well. that happened before, okay?
That happened before my time.
I didn't see all that happen.
So for those of you that are out there, let me know. You can put it in the comment section down below, or you can tell us later in the comments on Twitter or on social media, anywhere pretty much. I am still shocked that Alexander Mogilny is still not in the Hockey Hall of Fame. I mean, I don't know what it is about him not getting in. He's been eligible since 2009, and this guy had a 70-goal season, multiple 50-goal seasons. He has lots of hardware, lots of trophies. He also won a Stanley Cup, and I don't know if he won 2, but I know he won at least 1. And then the other fact about it is he came over to North America when it was really, really hard for Russian players to come over to the North American side, James. I'm educating you a little bit for the young people. Okay. Like this was as the Soviet Union was like basically crumbling, right? But they were still hard on their players. They didn't want their players to leave. They still wanted it to be a really good hockey country. So he legit defected. He defected from the USSR in order to come over to the United States and play hockey.
That's legit.
Yes. So
it's hardcore.
So he put his own safety at risk to come over to the North America and play hockey because he knew he could make more money here. So, and he left his family behind. That's the other thing. He left his family behind. And then there's one story.
Really liked hockey.
There's one story that I kind of wanted to talk about, but Mike Keenan, he's a coach. He coached Alexander Mogilny at one point, and I don't remember the exact situation, but it was in the locker room. It was during the intermission. Mogilny was not playing particularly well. He had like turned a puck over or something like that. And, Mike Keenan is just sitting there in his face, yelling at him like, blah, 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 you suck. You shouldn't have done this. And then Mogilny literally turns around and looks at him. And he's like, basically along the lines of, dude, my life has been threatened. You don't scare me. So like that alone, that story alone should get him in the Hockey Hall of Fame. But I just don't understand the bias against him. I really don't. I mean, like maybe I just need to go up and look at his stats for you, James, because the guy's ridiculous. I don't know how he's not in the Hockey Hall of Fame right now. He's been snubbed over, gosh, since 2009. So let me see. Okay, in his career, 990 games, so nearly 1,000 games.
That didn't make
473 goals, 559 assists.
Goals.
Oh, shut up, James.
Couldn't make it to 600 assists.
He got 1,032 points. So he was better than a point per game player. And he played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 years in the NHL.
That's a long time.
And he's not in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
He played 17 seasons and he didn't make it to 1,000 games. I'm just giving you a hard time, Ryan. Don't worry about it.
92-93 with the Buffalo Sabres. He had 76 goals in 77 games.
That's over a goal a game. That's pretty good. But that's not
quite a goal a game, but pretty close.
That's like a fourth of his goals in one season. So the rest of the season must have been awful.
You're triggering me, James. I hate you. But anyways, so I really thought this was his year. So I don't think he ever gets in.
Probably not.
That's just, and it sucks. It really
does. He deserve to be there? Yes.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Is he going to get there though? Probably not.
It's just, he was the first player from the Soviet Union to defect for the purpose of playing in the league. That's on the NHL.com website. Like, what the heck?
Oh, man.
He won an Olympic gold medal with the Soviet Union.
How dare he win against the Canadians?
He won the Lady Byng Trophy in 02-03 with the Maple Leafs. He won the Stanley Cup with the New Jersey Devils in 99-2000. I mean, seriously.
But he didn't win the cup for Toronto though. So does it really count?
I guess, but whatever. Okay, I'm off of it. I could talk about this for another 30 minutes, but people will get bored. Okay, let's get into actual. Bored. I know you don't even know who Alexander Mogilny is. You weren't alive when he started. Well, I guess neither was I, but I remember watching him play. Okay, we've got a couple of things Dallas Stars wise to talk about. First things that I want to talk about is, and I don't know if you saw the news here, James, but Kelly Forbes, the Stars video coach, will not be returning to the team.
No,
and I can't tell. Was that sarcastic?
No, that dude was good.
He was one of the best.
I think we lost like 3 challenges in the time that he was here.
Now, I don't even think it was 3. I think it was 2.
Granted, we didn't challenge that much, but we didn't lose hardly any of them.
Yeah, so he cited that he wanted to spend more time with his family. He still wants to be involved in hockey somehow, so I don't know how he's going to do that, James. I don't know if that means like another position within the organization, or if he's just doing something else hockey-wise. I have no idea, but I do wish him luck going forward, and we're really going to miss him. And I mean, that's a significant loss for the Dallas Stars organization. So next thing, Dallas Stars wise, and there's a lot of stuff this week, actually. It actually broke on Thursday, so it's been almost a week, but we hadn't gotten a chance to talk about it, James, is Fredrik Olofsson is now a member of the Colorado Avalanche. Unfortunately, he was traded for Future Considerations, who seems to get traded everywhere. Future Considerations seems like he's on every team. And then as soon as Olofsson was traded to the Avs, he immediately signed a leagueman 1-year contract with the Avalanche. So a lot of people were questioning, like, well, why did Jim Nill make this move and yada, yada, yada. It's like, why did this happen?
He wasn't going to get re-signed.
Yeah, go ahead.
Likely the answer. The answer is he was not going to get re-signed, and he was just going to poof. So I mean, Jim Nill literally did this earlier in the season. We weren't going to play Jacob Peterson. We're like, okay, where can he go? And he went to the Sharks, and he played great. He played great on the Sharks. I mean, I expect similar thing to happen. I feel like this one's going to be a little bit different because, like, also, what's up with all of our players just going to the Avalanche now? It's so, but
Nichushkin, Cogliano, Olofsson.
He'll be a fourth liner. He'll play good, but I don't think he's going to get much higher than the fourth line. He might. I mean, it was kind of his first in and out season in the NHL. We'll see. I don't mind that though. It was with specifically with the forwards we have coming up in our group. It doesn't make sense to re-sign Olofsson.
That was one of my big points I wanted to talk about with Olofsson.
Also, that might give me hope that we are going to re-sign Kiviranta.
There's also some truth to that. But well, first things first, really what this is this is just good guy Jim Nill,
Yep.
Doing a favor for one of his players.
He's doing the thing he always does.
Yes. So he's doing a favor for somebody. And actually, I didn't even know this, but apparently Olofsson was born in Colorado.
Oh, I forgot about that.
He was either born in Colorado or he grew up there. One of the two things.
He played hockey there a lot.
Something like that, yeah. So it's kind of like going home for him. So that's a big deal for him.
It is going home for him, that's for sure.
Yep. And then it's just the fact that the Stars, even if we re-signed a whole bunch of players, you look at who's coming up, Olofsson's not going to get a chance to play. And so he's literally doing right by the player and trading him somewhere where he's going to be able to play in the NHL. That's literally what it is. It's just a good guy move. That's all it really was. And for future considerations, I would expect like a 7th round pick.
Yeah.
That's probably what I would expect.
I was thinking 5th, but that's probably generous.
Yes. 5th is very generous. That's where we got Klingberg and Ben. And yeah, so I doubt that they will give us a 5th round pick. I would expect a 7th though, probably. Okay. So after that, let's give this a buzz. So Sarah Ziv, on Twitter, she had an article that she wrote. Again, I believe it was for Bar Down, where she went through each team and tried to use one word to describe that team's season. So I'm going through, I'm reading the article, and I'm like, okay, some of these words kind of make sense. And I'm like, yeah. And then we get to Dallas, the one that I was actually interested in. James, if you don't know it, do you already know it?
No, I don't.
No, okay.
I'm not on Twitter anymore. I don't know any of this stuff.
Okay, all right. So what word do you think Sarah Ziv used to describe the season of the Dallas Stars?
Exciting.
The exact opposite. Stupid.
Stupid?
That's the word she used to describe the Dallas Stars season. Okay. Let me read to you. Okay. Let me read to you what she wrote. I understand where she's coming from, but she didn't explain it very well, in my opinion. So, this is no knock
this
on
is
Sarah.
What she wrote.
This is what she wrote.
This is a long thing to write, Ryan.
Shut up, James. She even wrote, "Shut up, James." Okay, this
impressive.
is nothing on. Shut up, James. Okay. This is nothing against Sarah Ziv at all. I actually like a lot of her work, but this is stupid that she said this. Okay. When I think about the 22-23 Dallas Stars, I think about two things. The fact that they somehow blew that 4-goal Joe Pavelski game and that Jamie Benn's suspension after he fell on Mark Stone. Okay. That makes some sense. Okay. That makes sense. What an egregious and irresponsible penalty from a captain when his team needed him the most. Okay. All right. I'm with you so far. All right. As much as I love the resurgence of Ben, Tyler Seguin, and Pavelski throughout the season and the playoffs, I started to wonder if it prevented budding stars like Jason Robertson from having their moment. It might be time to start letting the kids take the reins. Okay. First part was pretty good.
Wait a second. No. Did she just say Jason Robertson could have shined more if Ben and Seguin and Pavelski played less?
I started.
Does she
she
know that?
Said she started to wonder if it prevented budding stars like Jason Robertson from having their moment.
Does she know that Jason Robertson played on the first line and played more minutes than any other forward the entire season? Does she know this? I don't think she does.
And to her credit, she did admit that she didn't really pay attention to the Stars as much until they made the playoffs, which is fair. But
Yeah,
like
we're in the South.
The first part was okay. Like the top half was okay. When an egregious and irresponsible penalty from a captain when his team needed him the most. Yeah, okay. Everything from there up is fine. Ben had a resurgence. Okay, yes, he had a resurgence. Tyler Seguin?
No.
He was okay. He kind of did what we needed him. He didn't really have a resurgence. And as for Pavelski did not have a resurgence.
The dude left.
Yeah. Like seriously, like he's been good for a while, right? He's been good for a while. Now the first year not so much, but like post COVID, he's been excellent. So he never really like he never like desurged. Is that even a word? Desurged? I don't know. But like it might be time to start letting the kids take the reins. What are you talking about?
They already did.
We got a goalie who is 23 years old, and Jay Gottinger. We've got a number one defenseman who's 23. Jason Robertson is 23 and had 100-point season. What more can you ask of him? Like seriously.
Okay, this is what annoys me. Okay,
because I love you, Sarah. I love you, Sarah. But come on. But are you smoking some marijuana or something? Like, I want some, whatever you're smoking, I want it.
I mean, it's so easy to fix that, though. You just go and you look at the stats for the Dallas Stars regular season.
Yeah, you don't even have to watch them. You don't even have to watch them for the regular season. You could look at Jamie Benn and say, holy crap, he had a 30-goal season this year compared to, like, he didn't even have a 20-goal season last year. So you'd be like more than doubled his goals. Okay, that's a resurgence. And you look at Sagan's points. I think Sagan got like 2 more points, and like I think Pavelski had like 2 less points. Yeah. I think is what it was. Something like that. Points. 2 less points. Like, come on, like really.
I don't care. They don't pay attention to us. I don't want to pay attention to them. I get it, but if you're not allowed to pay attention or if you don't want to pay attention to us, I don't want to pay attention to you.
He's like, I love you, Sarah. I love your work like most of the time, but like, come on now.
Just don't write about the Stars. If you don't know them, just don't write about them.
But like, stupid is not the word I would have picked. Maybe the playoffs?
I think stupid's a fine word. I heard it. I was like, okay, maybe.
No.
Because here, I'll explain it to you.
Oh, okay. Now I get to make fun of you like I did Sarah.
Okay, so yes, okay. Captain fell on his stick. Big L. That's how the season ends. Okay, but also you have all the overtime losses. That's stupid. You had so many overtime losses. It was ridiculous. You had like what, 1 more win than we did last season? So that's stupid. You have the fact that we basically couldn't win 1-goal games this year. That's stupid compared to what we did last season. The bright side for the Stars this year was that all of our team stats were lights out. I mean, that was the good thing. It was a lights out stats year, and we pushed through most of it. And then because we couldn't win in overtime, and because our captain cross-checked a dude in the neck, we
fell on him, James.
My bad. Fell on him with his stick, with his arms extended. Anyway. That's why we are such an easy out in the conference finals. I mean, that series should have gone 7. I mean,
okay. That makes a lot more sense when you argue stupid. That's fine.
I made a good argument for her.
You made a good argument. Yes, you mentioned the 2 good things in the playoffs that was stupid about the Stars, and then you mentioned the whole overtime thing, and that was actually one of the few things that Pete DeBoer talked about. In his exit interview, he talked for like, I think it was close to 15, 20 minutes with the media. He said, we got to figure out this overtime thing.
It's like 5-1 in the playoffs.
So I agree with you.
19-3.
But you can't look at this season and say it's stupid.
I can and will.
No, it's not stupid. That is absolutely the wrong word to use. No.
It's a fair word to use.
No, stupid is like the Vancouver Canucks, okay, or the Arizona Coyotes who are purposely trying to lose.
No, that's trash. Or
same difference.
No, big difference.
Same difference.
Because see, I call you stupid. I don't call you trash though.
It's still it's got such a negative connotation to the word, and it makes me feel
That
this season was a complete waste, and it wasn't.
It wasn't a complete waste, but we didn't win the Stanley Cup. Stupid.
Okay, but the thing is,
should have been in the final.
One team wins the Stanley Cup. One team wins it. So does that mean?
I think the Stars probably should have this year.
So does that mean that you can go to every single other team, all the other 31 teams other than Vegas, and label the word stupid on
besides Chicago because they won the draft lottery.
Lucky.
There are two winners, Ryan. There are two winners.
There's a biggest winner and a biggest loser.
No, they're both winners.
No.
Yes.
No.
If you win the draft lottery, you win.
With Connor Bedard, I guess you win the draft lottery. But anyways, I would say just inconsistent. I mean, I would feel like that's a better word. Or
I don't think we were inconsistent. I think the whole inconsistent argument is completely stupid. We did the same thing the whole year. That's consistency. I mean, we played good for 3 games, and then we would lose one. True. And then we'd play good for 2 games, and we would lose 1 or 2. And then we'd play good, and it was the same thing the whole season long. That's consistency. What these teams, when they're going on 20-game winning streaks, that's not consistency. You're on fire. That's different, okay? That is different. You can't have a team who just wins every game. That doesn't happen. The Stars, I think, were the most consistent team in the entire regular season. I mean, we almost topped our division, and we never went on a win streak of more than 6.
Yeah, I don't think we had
our biggest win streak was the last 7 games of the season.
Yeah. Last six.
Like what if that's not consistent, I don't know what is. If you could be in the top of the league the entire year and never go on a winning streak, that is consistency to me. Now, when you look at the play of the games, okay, fine. But you're talking about over the course of the year, this team was kind of crazy consistent.
I wouldn't have used stupid. That's just my opinion.
I think
she
it's
just
fine
paid attention to the playoffs. She just paid attention to the playoffs.
I think it's fine for like a you're writing. You got to find a word, right? And that's probably as good of a word as any, in my opinion.
Yeah, well. Okay. Anyways, let's move on. Okay. So let's get into some trade stuff here because
I haven't heard any of this, by the way. So you're
yes. No, that's okay. Yeah. I put together a whole podcast outline without James and didn't even send him the outline.
No, he didn't send it to me. I have no clue what we're talking about.
So, okay. So, David Castillo of D Magazine. He's a guy that writes for the Dallas Stars, and I really like his stuff. His stuff is very much more fan geared, if that makes any sense, compared to like Sod and Matt DeFranks when he was here, or any of these other guys who write for the Stars. Like, I don't know. It's just a feeling. I don't know how to describe it. He comes more from a fan's perspective, which I really appreciate. So, but one of the things he talked about was in this article that he's got is he entitled it "The Stars Road Forward Winds Through the Trade Market," and he goes through and that kind of the opening little subtitle, "The money isn't there to make a splash in free agency." And he's talking about the Stars specifically. At this time, I do not believe that Ryan Suter is going to get bought out. So when you look at cap friendly, the Dallas Stars currently have $7.3 million in cap space, basically.
Yeah.
And that's with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players signed on the forward side, and pretty much most of the defense locked up except for Joel Hanley.
Yeah, at least for one more year.
At least for one more year.
But you got to find 4 or 5 forwards.
Right. So that does not include like Max Domi, who's
here. Well, I'll say who we don't have signed as of right now. You don't have Ty
Right.
Delantria, you don't have Dodonov, you don't have Domi, Glendening, or Kiviranta. That's the 5. Everyone else is at least signed through next year.
Yep, I agree. And the other thing that's gonna you kind of have to think about is some of the players the Stars have coming up. So obviously Stankoven, we're gonna have him on the show here in a couple of weeks, probably. I mean, surely they're probably leaving a spot open for him. He's not going back to Kamloops.
And he's probably not going to the minors.
Well, he's probably not going to the minors, but he
might. He might, but he probably won't.
And then that's also not including Maverick Bourque, who also had a really good year in the AHL. He started kind of slow and then really started ramping it up towards the end.
He got a couple of games in the NHL.
Oh, I guess that's true. Yeah, he had
I think he had 2 or 3.
He had 2 or 3, May. Yeah.
It was early in the season, though. We were pulling people up like, we want to see what you can do.
Right. So honestly, what you're kind of looking at if you're Dallas, it sucks, but I don't think Domi's coming back. I don't think Dodonov is coming back.
I don't think Glendening is probably coming back, honestly.
See, he's the player I really want to keep.
Yeah. When you're looking, but when you're looking at it all, I mean, you essentially you're choosing between Glendening and Kiwi, and Glendening is the center, and he can take faceoffs and he can kill penalties. But Kiwi is the much younger player. He's 27. That's pretty much as good as you can get a player, and you're likely going to get him for a lot less than Glendening. You just it's really going to break down to how much Glendening wants.
Yeah, but I don't think
maybe we get both back, and then we just don't sign the other 3. But I mean, you're talking like you still
Dellandrea,
have.
I think Dellandrea is going to get 1.5 or 2 million.
Yeah, that's where it's kind of like rough. Like I don't know if I want to. I don't know how much. Yes, I mean for end of the season he's a 4th liner. That's what he is.
Right, but that's what I mean that he is so key on the penalty kill though. And then
Can't
the same
pay
thing
a 4th liner $2 million, Ryan.
Look at Radek Faksa. We're paying him 3.25.
And that's probably too much for a 4th liner. I mean, in terms of a 4th liner, that's probably too much.
But you can pay those guys this because you're looking at the fact that you're probably going to have to fill out the roster with some guys from the AHL currently, or in like ELCs. So both Bourque and Stankoven coming up, they're gonna be making less than $1 million.
Yes, but I still don't think that warrants giving Dellandrea $2 million. I mean, it also depends.
For 2 years, I think it does.
It depends on term too. Yeah, but
like Dellandrea, I think max gets 2 years.
There's so much. There's so much that like depends right now because all these players are like young. I mean, we don't know what they're going to do. It's a tough for especially with Dellandrea because I mean that was his first season in the NHL. He played great. His points weren't crazy, and that's what you're looking at. And you're kind of like, I don't know, but
you don't really need him to score points.
Everyone has to score, and that was a big struggle for him for a majority of the season. I mean, he was on the line with Benn and Johnston, and they looked amazing, but he couldn't put the puck in the back of the net. He had so many chances over and over and over again, and he just couldn't put the puck in the back of the net. And that's why we had to shake up that line. If he can figure out how to put the puck in the back of the net, which he definitely can, he's 22, like he's young. But if he can figure that out, then he's a 3rd liner at least. But right now, I see him as a 4th liner that we can play him up because he has the speed and he has the determination to just go and try to beat everyone up. But until you start scoring, you're kind of just a 4th liner.
Which is fine. But that's also why I'm arguing that you can pay him a little bit more now because it's not going to hurt you because you're going to have guys Stankoven. I really think you don't know how many and Bourque getting in the lineup next year.
You just don't know how many are going to be able to be ready come NHL.
Okay, one of one of Bork or Stankoven is going to be in the lineup opening night roster for the Dallas Stars. I guarantee it. One of the
Still have 4 more roster slots. And you signed Dellandrea $2 million. Now you got 3. You have a whole 4th line to sign still at that point. And really, you're looking for an entire 3rd line.
I no, I don't think so. But that's why you get Glendening back. I think Glendening is more important than people realize. And I understand he's 34. He's not going to ask for more than $1.5 million. And I think that's more than worth it for him, especially what he does face-off wise. So that's just me. But
we'll see.
We'll see.
You also got to look at age a little bit too, because Glendening's
we need
34,
some older guys. We need some older guys now.
I agree, but you got Sagan, Ben, and then you have Pavelski, and then you have Ryan Suter. And Lindell is not getting any younger either.
He's in his prime. I wouldn't say he's old.
Hakanpää is up there as well.
How old is Hakanpää?
31.
Really? He's 31?
Yep.
Okay.
31. I mean,
Miller's 30.
There is lots of. It's weird because we have really, really high age people. We have people in the 30s, and then we have the people in their low 20s. So
I just think we have a good mix of players
on this roster. There's an age gap on this roster, and the only one that makes the leap between the two is people who we've signed. Mason Marchment's 28. That's our leap between the two. It's kind of ridiculous.
I guess there's some truth to that, but okay. Anyways, how did we get on that? That wasn't even what we were going to talk about. Anyways, thank you, James, for the random tangent. I just went with it. Okay, so in the article, what he talks about, and he kind of talks about, but we're back to the David Castillo article. He talks about Jim Nill, and there's this idea right now that Jim Nill is all about being loyal to his players and not willing to make the big move. Right. And then we talked about, last podcast about the fact that that's what Vegas does really well, is they're not afraid to make those gargantuan moves. Literally just take my player. We need cap space. We're going after this guy over here and Jack Eichel. We need you to take
shiny new toy. Shiny new toy.
Shiny new toy this direction. All right. I want this. He's going over there. Okay, so we can have this toy. All right. But in the past, he's made big trades and stuff like that before. He's made the Jason Spezza trade that sent Nick Paul to Ottawa. He's made the trade for Patrick Sharp to bring him from Chicago. He made the enormous trade, which is one of the trades that defines the franchise, and trading Louis Eriksson away, which was the big piece going the other way to Boston to get Tyler Seguin to come to Dallas. So it's not that he's not willing to do it. It's just that, is he willing to do it now with a group that he feels comfortable with? And is he going to be willing to go out and get a really big name in order to push this Stars team over the top? So, and we also talked about last podcast about what's the big overall arching thing that the Stars need to focus on the most. And what did we say? Defenseman. Okay. Now, what he is suggesting is that we go out and we get Erik Karlsson from the San Jose Sharks. Okay. And I knew you were going to say that.
Gross.
I knew as soon as you said that.
Is he right-handed?
Huh?
Is he right-handed?
I don't know. I will look.
If he's not, then I don't want him anyway.
Okay. But so while I'm trying to find
continue your rant, yeah.
Well, no, I want to hear your thoughts real quick on Erik Karlsson and whether you think he would be a good fit for the Dallas Stars or not. Well, I'll look up his stats and stuff and see if I can figure out if he's right-handed.
Thinking about it, I never considered the possibility because you got to think about who you're trading, which is kind of a big deal because we don't really have that much to trade. But it kind of makes sense. I mean, we need. I felt like a lot of what we lacked in the Golden Knights series was our defense being able to score goals. I mean, Miro Heiskanen tried his little heart out and got so many assists on the power play that it almost didn't matter. But you got to have someone who's able to score the goal. And Miro doesn't really do that. I mean, honestly, he can take shots from the point. I wish he would try to go in and shoot more, but I mean, he's got his anchor Ryan Suter that he's dragging around. And it's true. I mean, regardless of if it's actually like a big problem, like I don't think Suter's that bad, but it's an anchor to Miro Heiskanen for sure. I mean, he should be able to play so much more free. He's having to play on his offside because we don't have any right-handed defensemen, and he's having to play pretty defensively still because I mean, if Suter's not back, he has to be the one back because Suter's never going to beat anyone in a foot race.
Okay, so you're right. Everything you said is correct. Everything you said is correct. It is interesting because he is right-handed. If he comes to Dallas, there's no way he scores 100 points again. He's not going to be the number one.
Definitely
defenseman.
not. Everyone knows that, though.
But if we can get him for the right price and we can get him without giving up too much of our futures, then I could possibly see this. And I'm not going to ruin the article for everybody. I would highly suggest you go and read it. It's not even 11 million. I know everyone in the comment section is saying 11 million, but it's 11.5, which makes it even harder.
It's basically impossible.
Now, it's not going to happen. And here's why it's not going to happen.
But it's a fun little pick your brain thing.
It's a fun pick your brain thing because this is somebody who, if it wasn't 11.5 million, even if it was like $8 million, I might consider it. And here's why I might consider it. And it's because the Stars, and he makes the argument in the article, the Stars never really went out and replaced John Klingberg. Now, everyone's like, oh, well, we already have the replacement in Thomas Harley. Okay. Thomas Harley has not played a full season in the NHL yet. So that's kind of his argument is that's a lot to expect a rookie to come in here and just be able to do that, which is kind of what you argued about, James, and the fact that, it's kind of unexpected for him to come in and be able to do that. The reason why it's not going to happen is because this is just the rumors of what I've heard and what I've seen on Twitter, is that they are only willing to retain about $2 million of his cap hit.
Ugh, that's tough.
So that's not going that right there is 100% why it's not going to happen. Okay. The other thing why it might not happen is because if you look at the trade and what San Jose would want back, they would probably want one of three players, right? They would want either Stan Koven, Maverick Bourque, or Thomas Harley. All three of those would be really hard to give up. Any one of the three, I would argue. But the only one I would maybe Maverick Bourque. And then probably you'd have to add Foxa to make the money work. And on top of probably a pick or something. But I thought it was interesting, but I could see Erik Karlsson being good for the Dallas Stars. But not at the cap hit that it's worth. And like, again, if it was like 8 million and they were willing to retain like half of his salary and we got Erik Karlsson for like $4 million, shoot, I'd probably make a trade for that and include Bourque and Fox and stuff like that. But even if you take 50%, he's still at 5.75 million, which is way more than
that's more than Mason Marchment makes.
Yes. Now the argument is, oh well, he scored over 100 points last season. He's not going to
score 100 points.
He's not going to do that again. So all of this to kind of get to the next part and say, well, okay, the Dallas Stars have been rumored in a bunch of players already on Twitter, and I've seen it all over, not just Twitter but social media. So they've had connections to Alex DeBrincat, which apparently they were interested in trading for him before he got traded from Chicago to Ottawa. Noah Hannafin of the Calgary Flames, who I think would be a pretty good, solid defensive option for the Dallas Stars. But I believe he is left-handed, so that doesn't really help us all that much. And then Karlsson, like I mentioned already. So
tired of these left-handers, dude.
Yeah.
Let Miro play on his dominant side.
Yeah. Miro needs to be able to play on his dominant side. And I don't know if it's like the unwillingness of Suter to play on the right side, or it's just the coaching staff saying you will play on that side.
It's tough because you already have a defenseman who can do it, who's left-handed, but he can play on the right. That's what you go with. That's the smart thing to do. I just hate it.
Right. But okay, let's say that San Jose is willing to retain Karlsson at 50%. Do you take the contract?
No, probably not.
I agree.
If they're only willing to take $2 million off right now, the amount that you're going to have to give them to get to the rest of the way, it's not going to be reasonable. And I know we kind of hate this because we're like, we're a team in the South. We don't want to be like mediocre. We want to win the cup, right? But this team has to be good for the franchise to be successful here. I mean, no one's going to go buy tickets if the team is garbage. The team has to at least win close to 50% of their games. Okay?
Yeah. But the other thing is that if you try and trade for Erik Karlsson, you really are mortgaging your future for your present.
Oh, yeah. No, big time.
So, and then at that point, you're saying cup or bust, pretty much. Because if you give up Bork, or if you give up if you give up Thomas Harley in a trade,
oh man, dude, no,
that
regardless
right
of what happens, unless we get like a 20-year-old right-handed defenseman, we can't give Thomas Harley away. Okay, we can't.
Yeah, we don't have enough depth in our prospect.
He's the last one. He's the last one
for a while,
and he's on the left side. Thomas Harley is a left-hander.
Yeah, well, and we've still got Liam Bishop coming up. We've got Christian Kyrou. We've got
those guys are more projects than Thomas Harley. Thomas Harley, he's been through the project system. He's done with it. Yeah. So. And we talked about him for like what, 3-4 years before he finally made it up here. So
Chris was so hard on him.
Still though,
give the kid a break. He's like 22.
It's tough because we talked about him for so long, and I think that's really I think that's more fans hyping him too much, and that's kind of where you get like the flack and all that. But that's not really fair to him. He's doing just fine with what he's doing. It's just we expected him to come sooner because we had no one else coming.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, I still feel like we're in good shape when it comes to our defense. I do. It's just if you go after a guy like Erik Karlsson, that's screaming we're trying to go over the top here. So
the fun thing that would do is it would be Erik Karlsson and Joe Pavelski, and that would be fun. But
that would be interesting. You're right.
That's the only reason why I think it would be really fun to do. But
that would be fun.
Don't do it.
But it's not worth. Yeah, it's not worth 5.75. It is very. I'll steal somebody's word.
Wait for San Jose. Go for it. Go for it first.
I'll give it to. I'll steal somebody's words from the comment section. It's a very ambitious article by David. But it's not happening. No.
Yeah. I think San Jose is shooting for the stars right now with this trade, and I don't think anyone's going to give it to them. I think this is going to start to turn into like a really bad situation for them. They're going to get later and later, and no one's going to trade for them because they're asking for so much. I mean, that's how I see it playing out unless they drop their price like crazy fast, but we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. That's all I got, James. You ready to do the Who Cares segment?
Yeah.
Let's do the Who Cares segment.
Okay.
Brought to you by. No, I'm just kidding. There's no presenting sponsor for the Who Cares segment.
But if
Although
someone
there
does
should be,
want to
that'd be cool.
sponsor it, then they probably should. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Anyway, the Who Cares segment is child toys, not
Child
baby
toys.
toys, because that might be a different segment later. So like we're talking like probably like 3, 4 to like 12,
9,
just before
10?
you hit 13, just before the teens.
No, 9 or 10. 9 or 10.
Whatever. Same difference for me. I was trying to give you a better range.
I
know you need the help.
Oh, I don't need the help. I think I'm actually going to win this one because mine are pretty good.
Mine are really good too.
Although you probably won't think so because obviously we grew up.
I don't like my number one that much though, so I'm gonna let you do the number one last. So I'm gonna go first.
Okay.
My number 3. It's the Parachute Army Men. Okay. Those things are so much fun. Okay. So back in the house at Flower Mound, which I barely remember, by the way, I remember us taking those little parachute men and dropping them off the little balcony that we had. And that was so much fun. I can't tell you, but I mean, just seeing them go down and spin like they're being hung is quite hilarious.
I hate you. I'm not joking. I'm not lying. That was my number 3, not the parachute, but
it's the parachute ones are better.
The Green Army Men. So there is
everyone knows them.
There was a game on the Nintendo 64. I forget what it was called. I think it was just called Army Men, and it was like the green soldiers and the tan soldiers. You know what I'm talking about, James?
Yeah.
Yes. No. Okay.
Yeah.
And like you had like both of those, and like the tan guys were the bad guys, the green guys were the good guys, and you had to go on all these different little missions and stuff. And you were like one soldier. You're basically taking on like an entire army. So it was a third person shooter. So it was a little weird.
That doesn't sound like a toy.
What? I'm just telling you where I got the idea from.
Video game, Ryan. Okay,
I know.
Well, I'll give you a better example because I used to play with these too. I had we had like these blocks. I would set up big block towers. I'd set the Army Man on top, and I'd throw other blocks at the block tower and knock it down. That was probably my favorite thing to do. Like once I got like destructive phase,
Okay.
Anyway,
what's your number 2?
My number 2 is the little sticky hands. The little sticky hand things. And the reason why is because we had this blue one, me and Chris did, again, in the Flower Mound house. All my best memories from these little toy things come from the Flower Mound house. But we were like sticking it to the roof, right? And waiting for it to fall down. Well, one time we launched it up and it just stayed there. For probably like at a day at least. And by the time it finally fell down, there was this blue stain on the ceiling. And that was awesome. That was absolutely spectacular. So, little sticky hands. Blue ones are the best. Ryan, you're number 2.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if there was anything else to that.
Nope,
okay.
That's it.
My number 2 is just plain old blocks. And not the stupid like Mega Blocks or Legos or anything not the big ones.
We're just talking pieces of wood.
Basically pieces of wood. Like refined, obviously that they were sanded down or something like that. But like blocks, like that's it.
There's
so many uses. There's so many uses.
Make a racetrack, make a giant tower, skyscraper.
Exactly. No. Okay.
You can play Jenga with them if you want.
What we used to do, me and Zach, we used to we used to pretend like they were like missiles or bombs or something, and it made me think about it. It made me think about the blocks when I started thinking about the child's toys, and I thought about the plastic army men, because we would take the plastic army men, and we had like bunches of like mounds and mounds of army men, and we would just set them up like in giant like armies or whatever, and then we'd be behind the green men front, and we would just launch these giant blocks across the room in the playroom at the Bishop house. And it just constantly, and Mom would get really mad because there'd be times we'd throw it too hard and it would bang up against the wall or whatever. And there'd be like little nicks and stuff on the wall behind the Taman. Oh, it was so much fun. So my number second is the blocks.
Oh yeah. My number first. My number first is a very, very fun toy. And some people still use them once they grow up too. Mine is the little ball that has all the suction cups on it. Throw it out the window, it sticks to it. So much fun. If it's already on the window and you roll it around on it, makes the most annoying sound imaginable. It's amazing. And now they use it as a disc retriever for disc golf. They put one on top of a stick and you just smack the disc with it. You get it back.
That's true. That is true.
So not only is it a child's toy, it's also a very useful disc retriever.
I think your number 3 was better.
No.
Yes.
The annoying noise that you can make with those suction cup balls, just rolling them against the window and just pop, 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 pop.
So that's the whole goal. It's just annoying.
Of course.
People.
Of course.
So you probably did it. You probably annoyed Casey and Chris and Cooper all the time with that.
Oh, I have no idea. I was completely oblivious. No one paid attention to me. I'm the middle child. I could do whatever I want.
You were literally the middle child of the seven.
Of the middle. Yeah. I mean, I'm basically invisible. It's like a superpower.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, my number 1 is so much better than yours. And I think I won the segment because of this. And it is a toy. I don't care what you say.
It's not a video game.
It is a video game. Video game is a toy.
Video games are not toys.
I am talking, sir. My number 1 is the Nintendo 64.
Video games are not toys, Ryan. That's a gaming console. That is not a toy. Are we having the podcast on a toy right now?
What?
Are we having the podcast on a toy? We're both on laptops right now. Are laptops toys?
No.
Okay. Then that's not a toy either.
Okay, I was a kid. The Nintendo 64 was a toy.
I was a kid, and I had the PlayStation 3. Is the PlayStation 3 a toy?
You know what? I'm gonna tell a story and make you feel bad, and then you're gonna agree with me and say that
you're wrong.
Okay? All right. So, and I didn't even know I did this, but mom told me that I did this. So, this was before. What year were you born?
2002.
So this is before you were born, not before Chris, but before you. I was 6 or 7 years old, and I wanted to do something really special for a family for Christmas. And we went to the Angel Tree, and there was a kid, apparently, who really wanted a Nintendo 64. Like, and I had one for probably 4 or 5 years. They played every game, I had GoldenEye. And I know someone mentioned it over there. I think it was Ardell mentioned GoldenEye. I had GoldenEye. I had Diddy Kong Racing. I had Wave Race. Oh goodness, Pod Racer. What else? All the Super Mario games, tennis, Mario Kart, whatever. I had played all of them, beaten them all. I was kind of whatever, but I still loved it. And I gave it away. And I literally gave it away in tears, but I knew that it was going to make that kid really, really happy. So, do you feel bad? You probably
I don't. It's still not a toy. That is not a child toy, okay?
It is a toy. It's a
Ryan, you still play the Nintendo 64.
Actually, no, I haven't played it for like 4 years now.
But
it is still a child's toy.
Oh no, it is not.
It is a child's toy.
If an adult would go out of his way to play it, it is not a child's toy. I do not go out of my way to play with the Parachute Army Man, or a little sticky hand, or a suction cup ball.
You still have like that little ball that you squeeze all the time that you love.
That's different. That's a stress toy.
How is that? I'm done with you. I'm done with you.
You're just wrong. Okay,
win.
That is a video game console. That is not a toy. You have broken the rules of the game. No, you have broken the rules of the game.
Okay, you know what? We're gonna let the internet decide this. Okay?
Yeah, the internet's gonna say you're wrong.
Internet, you're gonna help us decide. Is the Nintendo 64
A child's toy. A child's toy.
It is okay, whatever.
Remember the name of the segment. It was children's toys, and I said 2 to 9. No, I said 2 to 12, and you said 2 to 9.
It is a child's toy. Okay.
No.
Let us know in the comment section down below.
It is a pristine.
You know what? You can
computer.
even DM us. You can even DM us on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, and you can
Ryan,
tell James that he's an idiot and he does not know what he's talking.
If I counted any video game, I wouldn't have had any toys on my list.
I actually thought about doing like different
PlayStation 4. Done.
I actually thought about putting different games from the Nintendo 64 and doing that as my number 3, number 2, number 1. I was just like, nah. So, okay. Anyways, let us know, and we're gonna sign off here tonight. James, anything else before you admit defeat?
Ryan doesn't know what a toy is.
Okay. Next week is a draft, you guys. Next week is a draft. Stars are not going to be as involved, obviously, because we traded the 1st and 3rd round pick this year for Nils Lundqvist, but we still have a 2nd round pick, and we still have other picks going on. It's still going to be very interesting who ends up going 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the draft. So I would still encourage you to go and watch the NHL draft.
And we picked up Jason Robertson in the 2nd round. So not saying anything, but I kind of am.
Yeah. So just saying, Okay. Anyways, James, anything else? Sorry.
I'm mad at you.
Eat those saltines.
I will.
Thank you guys for watching. For those of you that are watching live, we had up to 16 people at one point who are listening to us live. Thank you guys for doing so. Those of you that are listening afterwards, we thank you guys as well. If you liked anything that you heard, if you think a Nintendo 64 is a toy, please consider leaving us a 5-star review anywhere you listen to your podcasts. If you're listening on YouTube, click like and subscribe, all that jazz. We really appreciate it. And thanks once again to DraftKings Sportsbook. Along with James, my name is Ryan. We'll catch you guys on the flip side, and we hope you guys have a good, fantastic morning, afternoon, whenever you guys are listening. A Nintendo 64 is a toy.
It's not child.